The following is a Hoop Bowl presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Box Score Breakdown for Oscar Sunday, which means a very light basketball schedule. I don't know if that's intentional. I'm assuming it is. But anyway, I didn't realize they would have a lighter load on Oscar night. No basketball games, I guess, during the Oscars. Anyway, Adrian and I recorded a show, and for whatever reason, our recording did not work properly. It did not pick up his voice. So I am going to try this and go solo on my second attempt, and hopefully I won't have any sound issues. Unfortunately, Adrian cannot come back because of his busy life, so it's just going to be me, and because it's only 3 games, it should be pretty quick. So before we get started, would like to mention we are sponsored by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. You can find their delicious coffee at hawaiianisles.com or on amazon.com. All right. No major news and notes. Anthony Davis did sit out a back-to-back. Looks like he's back on tomorrow. Towns, after that, he's not here, was in a car crash. Nothing too serious, except he did have a concussion from it. So he was sat out the last 2 games. He's probable for tomorrow. Giannis is out tomorrow. Harden did not play last night, despite Houston going in there and winning over Golden State. What an amazing accomplishment that was. And Kawhi sat out tonight. So I think we're going to see some of these stars sit down the stretch for load management, which could wreak havoc in the fantasy world, especially in head-to-head playoffs. We'll see how they are managed. Might be hard to predict. But nonetheless, we shall power on and go to the box scores for this evening. Orlando 113, Toronto 98. Very impressive win from the Magic, going up to Toronto and winning comfortably. Jonathan Isaac continues to have a good back half of the season, 16.6 rebounds, 2 blocks, 3 3-pointers. Aaron Gordon, a very quiet night. 2 of 11 shooting, just 7 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He has not been great this season in his percentages. I thought he would start shooting more at the basket. He is still taking lots of threes, and unfortunately, he is missing a lot of them. And overall, his field goal percentage is 44%. Not great for a power forward. His free throw percent at 72% is not horrible. Better than I think it has been in years past, so it hasn't been bad, but he is still sitting outside the top 100, which I thought he'd be better. On a per-game basis in 9 category leagues, just inside the top 100 on a per-game basis. 92nd in ACAT. Vucevic continues to be strong. Number 2 overall in the season on per-game basis. Not number 2. Number 16. I'm looking at the round. Sorry. Number 16 on a per-game basis in 8 category leagues. It just seems like he's number 2. He's been phenomenal. 23 points, 12 rebounds tonight, 4 assists, 10 of 17 shooting, 2 steals, a block, plus 3 3-pointers. Just having his dreamlike season continues. DJ Augustine putting up serviceable numbers here for point guard. 8 assists tonight, 12 points, 5 rebounds. 5 of 6 shooting, very efficient. A steal and 2 of 2 from the line. Fournier, I thought he'd be better this year. I thought he'd be around 100, 132 on the year, so quite a ways away from there. Just 11 points tonight on 4 of 11 shooting. That's really been what's hurt him. 43% shooting this year on 13 shot attempts, bringing down his value. Also not much of a rebounder. Just 3 tonight and averaging 3 on the season. Terrence Ross, on the other hand, has been their 3rd best fantasy asset. 28 points tonight, 9 rebounds, 3 3-pointers. Continues to shoot 2.5 3-pointers a game on average. And he shoots 87% from the free throw line. Not high volume, but helps you out there and does not kill you in his attempts. In terms of field goal percentage, 43%. Not bad, but not horrible for someone who takes primarily 3-pointers. That's really it. Nothing new there. Toronto, without Kawhi Leonard tonight, kind of a dud of a game. Lowry, 19 points, 10 assists. Solid night from him. 4 steals, 2 3-pointers. Siakam, poor shooting night for him, just 3 of 10 for 10 points. Did get 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and a couple of blocks. 2 3-pointers. OG Anunoby starts for Leonard, which is surprising. I thought it would be Van Fleet, although Van Fleet is still injured. So that explains why it was not Van Fleet. And Anunoby, not much of a fantasy asset, even in 24 minutes, just 5.6 rebounds and a steal. Danny Green, I don't know if this is a good night or a bad night. He did have 2 3-pointers, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 of 9 shooting. Not great. I guess barely playable. If you started him, Ibaka, 24 minutes off the bench, 14 points, 5 rebounds. But I guess the main guy I forgot to mention here is Marc Gasol. Now playing 24 minutes, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 7 of 13 from the field. I think this guy gets more minutes down the stretch to get acclimated to this team. I think he's going to have to play 30 minutes in the playoffs. I think they're going to want him to play 30 minutes in the playoffs, and I think he needs to play that down the stretch to make sure he fits in. Because we know this team is going to try to win the East, of course, and they got Gasol for a reason, and Leonard is going to be sitting some games. So when they're both playing, they're going to have to make sure that chemistry is at its best going into the playoffs. So I think his minutes will increase. If Gasol's owner does not, I would consider trading for him. Nothing else on Toronto side. So we'll go on to the second game of tonight. Clippers against the Nuggets. Clippers fall short, 96-123. Perhaps they are going to tank down the stretch. Not sure what they're going to do. Certainly it's going to be harder for them to make the playoffs. Currently sitting at 8th in the West. And as you know, there's about 10 or 11 teams. 12 teams, 13 teams, almost 14 teams that can try to get a playoff spot. Probably realistically 12. We'll see who gets that last spot. Tonight, not any great fantasy nights from the Clippers. Gallinari displays 25 minutes, does put up 19 points and 7 of 7 from the line, but does not knock down a 3-pointer, has a single steal, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. Zubac, foul trouble, just 19 minutes tonight, 8.7 rebounds, 2 assists. Never know if he's ever going to get a lot of minutes because they like to run with Harrell, who tonight just had 16 minutes. He himself was disappointing, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Speaking of other poor fantasy lines from the Clippers, Shamet in 29 minutes, just 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting. Did have 3 steals and a 3-pointer, but not much else. No rebounds, a single assist. Gilgeous-Alexander, 0 for 9 from the field. He has not been shooting the ball particularly well as of late. Just a single point tonight, 1 of 2 from the line, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Lou Williams off the bench does deliver 24 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, 11-11 from the free throw line, and a steal and a 3-pointer. Beverly, starting role, plays 26 minutes, 2 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He has not been worth owning ever since he's come into the starting lineup. He wasn't worth owning when he was out of the starting lineup. Just it doesn't make a difference. Jermichael Green, 22 minutes. Temple, 23 minutes. Just a game they weren't really into. No one really saw big minutes or put up much fantasy value. On the Clipper side, Denver, we had Jokic doing his thing with 22 points, 16 rebounds, 3 assists, 9 of 16 from the field, 3 steals and a block. Millsap, 21 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 8 of 13 from the field, 2 3-pointers, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Maybe the best fantasy line of the night. Will Barton has been disappointing since coming back. Just 24 minutes, and I think Isaiah Thomas, who had 24 minutes, may be cutting into his role. So I am not thinking Barton will have much fantasy value down the stretch. It's unfortunate. Started off the year with a couple of games, got injured, Finished last year very strong, but currently outside the top 150, I believe, on a per game basis. So 184 on his 20 games. Not worth owning. Jamal Murray is worth owning. 16 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists tonight, 2 3-pointers, a steal. Off the bench, as I mentioned, Isaiah Thomas. I don't think he'll get there in terms of fantasy value. 10 points tonight, though, 4 assists and a block. Gary Harris, the other one guy we need to talk about, because he has, like Barton, been a very much a fantasy disappointment this year. Has played 34 games, or just 34 games, I should say. And even in those 34 games, he is averaging 137 on a per game basis. So not very good, even when he's out there. I would not necessarily recommend dropping him, but if you are struggling and we just now have maybe a few weeks left before playoffs start, maybe a couple weeks in most cases, maybe a time to move on from him. If you are streaming and you want someone who may not produce consistently, Gary Harris fits that category, unfortunately. Not much else here from Denver. Their bench players, can't trust them unless there is some injury. So move on to the final game. San Antonio at New York. The Spurs fall 118 to 130. Derek White, I'm not seeing any injury news on him, but he did not play today. I don't know if it's just for rest. I don't know if there was something else going on. So that is unfortunate. I thought he would have a good game today against that New York defense. It looks like it was DeRozan who shined. 32 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists on 12 of 22 shooting, including a steal and a block. Also went 8 of 10 from the line. Aldridge coming back from his injury, just played 21 minutes. Perhaps he did have 4 fouls, so it wasn't foul trouble, and it was a one-sided game. So expect him to get more minutes going forward. In the 21 minutes, he had 18 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, and 2 blocks. Bertrand does not deliver with pretty good minutes here. 24 minutes, hasn't delivered really all season. Just 4 points on 1 of 4 shooting. Not much else to speak about. Rudy Gay, a quiet night as well. 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He has had some struggles as of late. See how he ends up down the stretch. Certainly has a lot of mileage in his game. So perhaps this last third of the season will be tough for him. Bryn Forbes, on the other hand, I would expect to get better. But tonight, just a kind of pedestrian game. 15 points, 6 rebounds on 4 12 shooting. Did have 2 3-pointers, 3 assists. So a decent game, but nothing worth going to grab and pick up. That's really it. Spurs don't have too many fantasy assets. We know they are very capable of changing their lineups if things are not working out in a single game. They don't necessarily always stay with the same rotation. Tonight, Portal was the beneficiary of that. Played 20 minutes, got 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 of 7 from the field. You really can't trust him for anything except for field goal percentage. But he only takes about 4 shots a game. So even such, it's not really worth it. And that's all I've got on the Spurs. Looking to the New York Knicks. A couple of interesting developments. Damian Dotson had a nice game here, 37 minutes, 27 points, knocked down 8 3-pointers. I'm assuming that's a record for him. Went 9 of 17 from the field. He is typically a 42% field goal shooter, so this may not hold up. But in a points league, I think it might. He's been playing 30 minutes, 30-plus minutes 3 of the last 4 games. I know these rotations are hard to trust in New York, but perhaps he is someone worth taking a chance on, especially in points leagues. Kevin Knox, another player who is a points league guy. His percentages have been horrible this year, 37%, I believe, from the field, and hurting you in field 3-foot percentage as well. Tonight, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. did have a 3-pointer and a block. Even Lance Thomas started, which is fascinating. 16.7 rebounds, 1 assist. I would not trust him. Noah Vonleh just plays 18 minutes. I thought for sure this guy was going to be solid down the stretch. It is not the case. Dennis Smith Jr. has had somewhat of a resurgence here coming to New York. 19 points tonight, 13 assists, 6 rebounds, 8 of 17. 2 of 3 from the line. His percentages aren't great either, but he does good enough in the counting stats to be worth owned. Probably taken, though, in most leagues just based on name recognition. Mitchell Robinson is the other guy who should be owned if he's not. Monster night tonight, 15 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks. Phenomenal game from him. That, I think, the 30 minutes is very encouraging. If somehow he's still out there, he should be owned. So recap, I think Knox and Dotson, point leagues guy, Dennis Smith Jr. and Robinson, regular league guys. Moutier has fallen off. He played 19 minutes tonight, 19 points. He shot an efficient 8 of 10, but that cannot be trusted. Not a lot to trust with the Knicks, but I guess Smith Jr. and Robinson, the two guys I'm now rolling with. And that is it for tonight. A very short set. And Adrian, I apologize to you and everyone else who was expecting him. We did a show, as I mentioned, and the recording did not work properly. So hopefully we'll be fine for tomorrow night and back to normal when we have a much larger slate. I think we have 11 games tomorrow. So come back then to hear him. And with that, I am going to wrap it up. Once again, we are sponsored by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. You can find Adrian I on Twitter, and me on Twitter, I should say. My Twitter handle is @ballwithneil, BALLWITHNEIL. He is @Adrian Benjamins, and we'll be back tomorrow night.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.